blowing kisses at us. They were throwing airplanes and bombs at us. I didn't even know the word kamikaze. Divine when I didn't see anything divine about it.
If there was ever anything that was going to crack a person's psyche and crack his ability to carry on, it was a kamikaze.
I couldn't understand why they were doing this. And to this date, I have a hard time understanding how a person could do that.
At the southernmost tip of Japan, on the site of a World War II airbase, a memorial service is held. It honors a unit unique in warfare, the Kamikaze Corps. But this is not just a service for the dead. These men were themselves kamikaze pilots, shot down en route to their targets, still waiting to be called when the war ended. These are the kamikaze who survived. Most kamikaze pilots died young. Many never reached the age of 20. Those they left behind have grown old, remembering them. Soldiers are compelled to fight. These men volunteered to die. What impulse prompted Japan to make a strategy of suicide? It was not a whim, it was a crisis. June 19th, 1944. The decisive dogfight of the Pacific War. In a single day, the Americans claimed 315 kills. And for the Japanese, there was worse to come. Their fleet was now unprotected from the air. The next day, the Americans struck. Their chief target was the Japanese carrier force. They sunk 2 carriers and badly damaged another. Japan was facing something unique in her history: defeat, unless a savior appeared. And 6 weeks later, he seemed to, when Naval Warrant Officer Shoichi Ota presented himself at the Naval Aeronautical Research Laboratory to design technician Tadanao Miki.
彼は鉛筆書きの設計プランを持ってきた。そしてこういうもの、このアイディアでやったらどうかということを言われた。
It was a rough plan for a missile later called the Orca, or cherry blossom. Slung beneath a bomber, it would be flown to the target and then released. Rockets could propel the Orca at nearly 400 miles an hour, and a 1,200-kilogram warhead could sink even the largest Allied ship. Previous plans had been rejected, since they had no guidance system to steer the missile to its target. Ota had a simple solution. A human pilot would be on board.
それじゃ一体誰が乗っていくのかと。こんなものはね、人が乗っていくのは我々の技術者としては反対だと、こういうこと。あくまでも人の命は非常に おろそかにすべきじゃないと、いくら戦争といえどもと、こういうことでやったわけですよね。で太田少尉はそしたらこういうのは誰が乗っていくって言ったら、私どもが乗ってきて、私が乗ってきますとこう言ったら、私たちが乗っていくんだと、こういう。
Oerter's passion proved decisive. The missile was commissioned. But was Oerter alone in his desire to embrace certain death? The answer to that was to come from an unexpected quarter. On August the 20th, 1944, an American bombing raid approached southern Japan. The Ozuki unit was scrambled to intercept. Until now, they had achieved little success against the B-29s. But that day, squadron leader Masaji Kobayashi saw his men adopt a different tactic.
それで、覚悟を決めて、延べただいまから体当たりというふうな無線を打ちましてね。でそのままその防衛の編隊長、6機9機の長機に、ぶつかったわけですね。
The B-29s were destroyed. The dead Japanese pilots were promoted. Spiritual conviction, the papers told the people, had shown the way to vanquish material strength. But plane for plane, the Japanese were hopelessly outnumbered. To win the war by these suicide methods, they would have to hit a different target. Above all, the Pacific War was a carrier war, and the Allies were winning it. When they launched airstrikes against the Philippines on October the 17th, they confronted Japan with a simple choice: sink the carriers or admit defeat. With the Urka missile delayed in production, Japan turned to the elite 201st Air Group, based in the Philippines and famed for its samurai spirit. Its pilots were to take a plane, strap a bomb beneath it, and fly into an Allied carrier on a volunteer basis. The task of raising the volunteers fell on the wing commander of the 201st, now its sole survivor, Tadashi Nakajima.
それで希望者は紙に書いて持ってこいと。誰も書いてこなかったらどうしようかと思ったわけです。ところが専任の下士官がその封筒に入れて書いたのを持ってきました。調べてみたらば3つだけ白紙が入っとって、あとは全部、希望ということなんです。
The three who had not volunteered were in the sick bay. Many of the others, hoping to increase the chance of selection, had signed their paper in their own blood.
兵隊には聞かれたけども、私たちには希望を聞かれなかったと。私たちはどうするんですかということなんです。お前たちは言わんでもみんななるだろうと思って聞かなかったと。こう言ったらにっこり笑いまして喜んで帰ったわけです。
So on the morning of October the 25th, 1944, the first kamikaze sorties were flown from Japanese bases in the Philippines.
領有の無言の声援を受けて飛び出した誘導護衛機に導かれてルワン島の沖へ琉球の大義に準じ忠烈万世に冠たる出陣である。
Their target, Carrier Task Units 1 and 3, 440 miles to the southeast.
I had finished breakfast and was back just outside the photo lab. About that time, the general alarm went bong, bong, and then a rat-tat-tat-tat-tat machine gun, and whoom. That was it. And just in a fraction of a second, the ship was in a raw inferno, smoke you couldn't see, and all sorts of confusion.
I watched this plane come in, and it just kept on coming in. It was like slow motion almost, because he was firing his guns. I almost saw the projectiles hitting the deck. My body from my belt up was exposed above the flight deck, and the plane kept on coming in, and it didn't pull out. And I yelled, "Pull out, you bastard, pull out." I screamed it.
The damage almost sank the U.S. carrier Santee. But it did not become clear that this was a deliberate tactic until the following day, when Robert Fentress took the first ever film of a kamikaze attack.
I was on the flight deck with a camera. I saw this one coming, and when you're standing there all shook up and jerky, why, it was a feat really to follow the plane in. But we did. And when it hit that deck, I was just absolutely dumbfounded. I could not believe that someone would do something like that. I couldn't believe what I had seen. And I said to one of my shipmates who was standing very close to me, "Did you see what that joker did?" Or words to that effect. And he said, "What do you think they did to us?" That's the first time I knew it was a kamikaze.
We are a real cocky bunch. We thought we had the war won. And then when they began the kamikaze attacks, it scared the living daylights out of everybody. Suddenly, we were not the great Navy that we thought we were. There was a picture taken of our chaplain and a couple of fellows, not a couple, quite a few fellows standing around. And I had the picture, and I never realized I was in the picture. And there was this young sailor looking very, very scared, still looking on as we buried the guys. They were good guys. And to look at the other fellows that were standing there, how frightened they looked. Well, we were frightened. We were scared stiff.
Kamikaze pilots had a very different attitude to death. It was almost as if they did not die at all. If the mystery of kamikaze is revealed anywhere, it is here, in Tokyo, at the Shinto shrine of Yasukuni.
あの頃はね、そういう死んだらね、靖国神社に行くんだよというような暗黙の了解があってね、そういう国家のためにそういう一命を捧げた人たちを祀ってくれる国として祀ってくれる社だと思ってましたからね、行く先はあそこだなと皆さんが思ってたんです。
Morimasa Yunokawa was himself a kamikaze pilot, but survived because of responsibilities to the unit he commanded. He still finds comfort at Yasukuni in the presence of his dead colleagues. 50 years ago, newsreels played on just the same emotions.
教団に大しく構成した戦没将士の未亡人たちが普段斜塔において晴れて靖国の夫に対面できる日が来ました。7月5日、真夏の太陽が新緑にさんさんと降り注ぐ午前9時半、いよいよ待ちに待ったまぶたの対面であります。新しい門出に胸とどろかせる未亡人たちにとって今こそ忘れ得ぬ感激の一瞬でありました。
Yasukuni, meaning country at peace, is reserved for the souls of those who died in war. They are venerated here not for their bravery, but their obedience to the emperor whose shrine this is. And for young volunteers like Hachiro Hosokawa, obedience gave meaning to self-sacrifice.
特に動物というものは死というものは嫌うし、死を前にしたら逃げますね。ただ、逃げてはいられないその精神的な責任とか道義とかというものがあった時に自分の命を捧げると。
それと国なり民族のために命を捨てるということは、最高の名誉あることだというふうに考えられていたわけです。これは私だけじゃありません。誰でもほとんどがそうです。建前としてですね。
Kamikaze pilots had faith that they would return here after death, a faith shared by their superior officers, who promised to go to Yasukuni and personally relate the outcome of their mission to their soul. By the end of 1944, there were more than 500 missions on which to report. But Japan was still losing the war. So all hopes were pinned on the Kanoiki training base near Tokyo, where an elite squadron of kamikaze pilots had been formed to pilot the Orca suicide missile. They were the Jinrai Butai, the Thunder Gods. The Thunder Gods had been carefully selected. No firstborn sons, no husbands. Only its commanders were older than 25. As promised, Shuichi Ota, the originator of the suicide missile, was amongst them. The Thunder Gods appeared to personify the kamikaze spirit, but appearances were deceptive.
特に大方の場合はもう19年の10月に絶対死ぬということで明日出るかも分からないという状態で、来たのが、終戦まで続いているもんですから、ちょうど死刑囚が死刑の宣告をされて死刑を待っているような心境ではありましたよね。
前は出ました。で俺は志願したのはね、身の程を知らずではなかったかと。それとか出撃する時にね、手足が震えてね、松平まで恥を残すような、そういうことは日本民族としては貴族と考えられていたわけですから。
But for the cameras at least, kamikaze pilots faced death like this. It was not enough for them to accept death. They had to rejoice in it. Their symbol was the hachimaki, which every pilot wore. War-working children were encouraged to emulate kamikaze pilots, so that they too would give up their lives when the enemy came. And the enemy was getting closer. By March 1945, the Allies were massing off the island of Okinawa, only 300 miles south of the Japanese mainland. The decision was taken to use the Orca missile for the first time. So, on March the 21st, 1945, at 11:20 a.m., 2 divisions of the Thunder Gods took off from Kanoya Air Base in southern Japan, in the direction of Okinawa. Just after midday, they were intercepted by US fighters whose gun cameras revealed the Orcas slung beneath the bombers' bellies. These are the only pictures ever taken of the Orca missile in action. Slow and cumbersome because of the missiles they carried, all 18 bombers were shot down. And all of the men who had sorted were lost. Shuichi Ota had not been among them. He had not proved a good enough pilot.
河野池で訓練をしている時に、太田少尉が私の脇にやってきて、こんなチャチな飛行機になってすいませんと、私はこういうもんじゃなくてもうちょっとその性能のいいものを考えてたんだけども、誠に申し訳ないというような言い訳をしてました。
The Orca was to sink only one ship in the entire war. When the Americans later captured unused Orcas, they were amazed to find them partly constructed of wood. They rechristened it the Baka, the Japanese word for fool. At Kanoya, the Thunder Gods were hastily reorganized. Orca missile pilots were asked to fly crash-diving planes, of the kind used in the Philippines. There was little time to argue. On Easter Sunday, April the 1st, 1945, the Americans invaded Okinawa.
On the island of Okinawa, 5,000 miles from San Francisco, the earth shook from a fearful pounding by our ships and planes. 100,000 Yanks were rattling the lock on Japan's front door.
The world was told the war was nearly won. Those at Okinawa knew better.
When the time came for us to go to Okinawa, there was no longer any doubt about it, no bewilderment. We knew what we were into. We knew what we were going to face.
But at first, American fears seemed unfounded. The fleet maneuvered in eerie calm for a whole week. Until mid-afternoon on April 6th.
They call it kamikaze, meaning the divine tempest. We call them suicide planes. They specialize in one-way trips.
The Allies had expected the nightmare of the Philippines to recur at Okinawa. They were wrong. It was worse. For the first time, kamikaze pilots sorted en masse, up to 350 planes at a time. The Japanese name for this new tactic was Kikusui, which means the floating chrysanthemums.
The kamikaze, it was a saturation type thing. I mean, there was one, and then there were two, and then there were three, and they just keep coming. And eventually, of course, we knew they would get us, but we hoped, and I think our gunners hoped, that they'd shoot down enough of them that they might pick another target.
The way we stopped them was just to fill the air with flak, and if there was ever an opening in the flak, they were on you. And we had a number of them just barely miss us at Okinawa.
The attacks could continue for up to 24 hours at a time. The Japanese had enough planes, but they were running out of pilots to fly them. By May, nearly all the original volunteers were dead. New recruits were needed, and a new operations officer to maintain the samurai spirit.
私は世話役だもんだからそれになれないわけです。また私だけじゃなくてですね、非常に空戦のうまい人、もう経験が豊富な人は特攻隊を守ってやる方に行かねえいかないもんだから、特攻隊になると言っても 許されないわけです。特攻隊はもうなっちゃお前はダメだと、お前は守る方に回ると。
One new arrival was Ryokichi Kataoka.
戦闘機の搭乗員として戦闘機同士の空戦をするように訓練されてたんで、そうするのが目的なんですけども、特攻という戦術から言えば非常に邪道ですよね。
Towards the end of the war, some new kamikaze units were formed of students, with only 30 hours of training.
ただ出る前に作戦主任の中島中佐という作戦主任の方がね、無駄死にはするなと、とにかくダメだったら帰ってこいと、機会はいくらでもあるんだと。
Even new recruits followed the samurai code of willing self-sacrifice. Stories of pilots drugged or strapped into their planes are false. They volunteered, or in some cases they didn't.
一人の飛行隊長が、片方の飛行隊長が特攻隊に本当はなりたくなかったんです。その人が転勤の挨拶をしたわけで、搭乗員を集めまして、その時に機動部隊が来たわけです、アメリカの。そしてみんな防空壕へ逃げたわけで、飛んで急いで、突然来ましたから。そしてね、機動部隊が帰りましたから集合を命じたわけです。一人だけ来ないのも誰かといえば隊長がですね、首にロケット弾が直撃して首がないんです。でその後すぐ終戦になりましたのでですね、後の者はみんな生きてるわけです。で転勤を頼みに行って転勤の命令が出た隊長だけが戦死しました。どうもなんとなくですね、不思議だなというような気がするんです。
A selection of those who had volunteered was made each day. The man who picked the names was Fujio Hayashi.
何度か自分の名前をトップに書いて出したこともありました。その都度却下されたわけです。なんぼやってもダメなんです。大司令なり中島中佐からその出撃の命令や説明を受けて、別配をして竹やぶの急な坂をよじ登って、その上の飛行場のレベルに行ってからトラックに乗って、飛行機のある列線に向かう。そこまでほとんどそこまでしか私は見送ってないわけです。あまりにつらいから人のいない方に走ってしゃがみ込んで泣いていたと。ただそれがトラックに乗って列車に向かう時のトラックの上から流れてくるわけですけども、ちょっと待ってください。緑小島のふるさとよさらば、白いハンカチ振るてよさらば、ちりり彦棒に菜の花さして、ああ空は男の行くところ。この歌が一番数多く歌われました。
Ryokichi Kataoka sang that song not once but 4 times. 3 sorties were frustrated by mechanical failures.
それで50人いたのが何人減り最後に5人しか残んなかった。でもこれもう最後に出ていった時にもしこれでまた具合が悪くて帰れば自分だけだと。とてもそれはもう帰ることそのことは決して批判されることでも何でもないんですけども、自分自身の気持ちがもう嫌だと。ですから行けるとこまで行って。
But Kataoka was shot down en route to his target. He eventually returned to Japan to find that the authorities had issued his death certificate. He remained officially dead for 5 years.
絶対死の大火災であっても、なんかこうぶつかっても死んでも命があるようなという状態を言ってるのが本当の気がします。なぜならば今まで死んで帰ってきた人はいないから、死というものはどういうものかわからないから、その死でも、自分が生きるんじゃないかと、そう思いつつ死んでいくんでしょうね。
Hachiro Hosokawa was never permitted to sortie. He was too highly valued as a training officer. But his colleagues continued to depart. There was only one way to stop a kamikaze, total disintegration. And its speed was such that there was only 20 seconds to destroy it once it came within range. Cases of combat fatigue among Allied gunners more than doubled.
We had one gunner whose 40 millimeters guns had been hit, and he just simply got up on the gun tub and jumped over the side, and someone heard him say, "It's hot today." And he jumped right into the water, and we never saw him or heard from him again. And how badly injured he was, I don't know, but he could still talk, and that's what he said. So, and that's all he said. It's hot today. And I had never imagined that warfare could be like this.
Seeing that plane so large and so vividly as it dove in, I wouldn't want a picture of it, but I do have a picture of it in my mind. That microsecond before the propeller hit the deck, I just couldn't believe it. It was something that was unreal. Something you never heard of somebody doing. And it's over now.
At one point in May, under kamikaze attack, the Allied commanders considered withdrawal from Okinawa. It was the Americans who suffered above all. Unlike the steel decks of the 4 British carriers in the Pacific, the wooden decks of the American carriers made them especially vulnerable. Kamikaze planes penetrated to the hangar deck beneath, igniting hundreds of thousands of gallons of gasoline.
ところが命が特攻隊というのは平時亡くならん時にずっと住んでおらなければならないですね。やっぱり全く神様みたいな気持ちじゃないので、夜になったら心配事が起こったりですね、涙が流れたりするんですよ。それは怖いから流れるんじゃなくてですね、ちょっと言いにくいけども、なんとなく涙が出てくるというような感じですね。
Discipline did waver in the face of death. Insubordination and sloppiness became commonplace. The officers were ordered to enforce the rules.
まあ服装がだらしなくても死ぬべき時にピチッとミッションに出て死んでくれればそれ以上何を求めますか。
On June 23, 1945, Okinawa fell. For the first time in 12 weeks, the Allies could assess their damage.
One day we had a
a malfunction in a remote fuel oil level indicator. And this fuel oil level indicator mechanism that gave us the reading in the engine room was located number 4 hold on the starboard side. And I knew where all these were. That was part of my responsibility. So I went down into the cargo hold and I head over toward the corner. And I couldn't see it at first because there was a lot of wood and paper debris laying around there. So I was digging through that to get to this vertical pipe. And I came across what turned out to be this kamikaze pilot's leg, his right leg. And it had been blown off about halfway down from the knee and about halfway up from the knee. And of course it was all black of course he burned. And it was about a month and a half later, so everything was pretty rotten. And guys were souvenir happy by that time. Anything you could find that was Japanese, they made souvenirs out of it. They had a big box up in the rope locker at the forepeak of the ship. And then when anybody found anything that was Japanese, they'd bring it up there, and then the guys would make souvenirs. So I took this, and of course it still had the meat on it. It was all black from being burned, you know. And as I tell it now, it sounds kind of gruesome, and really, it's bad. You know, it sounds bad, but I was a young, hardened by the war, and it didn't bother me at all to do that. Pick it up, take it up there, and say, "Here, make some souvenirs out of it." The guys actually sliced the bones, cross sections. They made necklaces and rings and earrings out of the bones of that pilot. That sounds pretty bad, but you know, I thought about that in recent years. I wondered if the parents of that boy, a young man, a young airman, knew that we took the leg of his son and did that, that would be terrible. You know. And of course they would, his parents were probably dead a long time ago, you know what I mean? But anyway, that thought occurred to me, and I thought that was kind of bad. But at the same time, it doesn't detract from the fact that he was trying to kill us and we were trying to kill him. Right? That's we're all in this game. So I didn't feel guilty. There was no guilt about it. It's just a feeling of sadness that men will do things like that, you know.
よく日本では、死ぬ時にですね、天皇陛下万歳というよりは本当はお母さんと言って叫んで死ぬんだという話がありますけれども、私の母は小さい時に死んだので、どうも母の印象は薄いわけですね。で父親に育てられたんで、ところがそのお父様って言って死ぬのもちょっと様にならないなと。ただ非常に愛した芸者がいましたということで、美佐子というその芸者の名前を叫んで最後は敵艦に突っ込もうかななどということを考えましたね。
Fujio Hayashi never flew as a kamikaze pilot. His orders were to continue selecting names.
私は少し善というのをやった方ですけども、生死っていうのはないことになってくるんです。生死なしと言いますけど、それがちょっと長く生きとるから、あるいは早く亡くなったからって言うてもですね、世界のこの生き物から言うたら何のことないんですね。そういうふうに考えれば何のことないんですけども。
Okinawa, April the 1st to June 23rd. Kamikaze sorties, 1,915. Allied ships sunk, 36. Allied ships damaged, 368. Allied wounded, 4,800. Allied dead, 5,000. Within the precincts of Yasukuni Shrine, there is now a museum for the war dead. An entire room, the last room in the museum, is devoted to the kamikaze. The last photo in the last cabinet tells the story of Lieutenant Hajime Fujii. Because he was married with 3 young daughters, his request to fly as a kamikaze pilot was repeatedly refused. His wife drowned herself and their daughters so that he could fulfill his wish. He did so on May the 28th, 1945. On March the 21st, 1995, a special reunion took place at Yasukuni to mark the 50th anniversary of the first disastrous Orca missile raid.
時々写真なんか出して見ちゃ、あ、こういうやつもいたな、ああいうやつもいたなと思ってますけどね。まあ今考えてみればね、私なんか本当にどうして生きてきちゃったのかなと思うんですよね。ただある人に言わせると、お前が生きていなかったら現在の七星隊の特攻隊はどうなったか誰も残せなかったじゃないかと、そういう意味でお前は運命づけられたんだよなんていうのもいますけどもね、まあ、そうとも思いたくないし、なんか複雑な気持ちですよね。
彼らのことを思い出している時はね、彼らは私の胸の中で生きてるんですよね。だから彼らを少しでも長く胸の中で生き延びさせるためにも俺は長生きしないかん。遺族の人たちと手を取り合って泣くんですよね。それが今の私の戦友に対する思いです。
I do find myself puzzling over it. If there was something to be gained by committing suicide, and I don't know how anyone can think that they're going to gain anything if they're dead. But if there's something to be gained by committing suicide, maybe some way I could, in my mind, justify it. But it's difficult to see how you can gain something if you're dead.
In one part of the ceremony, respects are paid before the Orca, the missile which began the kamikaze project. But what of its originator, Warrant Officer Shoichi Ota? He was never officially selected for a kamikaze mission. But 3 days after the end of the war, colleagues said that they saw him take a plane and fly out into the Pacific.
それから私の部下だったのが太田少尉はあったと。そして雨の時に傘を貸してくれと言って持ってたけど、それは戻ってこなかったということはあったらしいんですけど、ですから生きていたことは事実らしい。だけどその後どうなったかということは、その部隊の連中もそれが関係性も全然わからないわけなんです。どうなったかということ。だから一つのミステリーっていうか。
During the making of this film, Timewatch discovered the real fate of Shoichi Ota. He did not die in August 1945, but started a new life as Michio Yokoyama. This photo was taken in 1952, the year his son was born. Last year, When he became ill, his family finally learnt the secret of his past.
その入院した時点で3ヶ月ぐらいだろうと言われてたんですが、そして、今まで父親が明かさなかった事実がその時点で分かったわけなんですよね。それまで見せなかったんですけども、泣きながら泣き声でですね、わしのせいで20歳にもならない若い人をたくさん死なせることになってしまったと。私自身慰めるのは、そういうことはやっぱり戦争時ではもう個人的な責任というふうな捉え方をしなくてもいいんじゃないかというふうな慰め方しかできませんでしたからね。